Formula One as you know it is about to be deleted. The FIA just dropped a rule bomb so extreme, even Verstappen is threatening to quit. Half-electric engines. No more DRS. And teams could be banned mid-season if they get it wrong. This isn't a regulation tweak, it's the end of the old F1. If you breathe Formula One like we do, subscribe now. What's coming in 2026 will blow your mind. In the world of Formula One, change is constant, but what the FIA just unleashed is nothing short of a revolution. This is not a regulation update. This is not a seasonal adjustment. What's coming in 2026 will wipe the slate clean. The rulebook has been torn apart and rewritten from scratch. For the first time in modern history, both the chassis regulations and the engine architecture are being reset simultaneously. That's not evolution. That's combustion-grade disruption. The cars? Shrinking. The engines? Half electric. The aerodynamics? Fully active and controlled by the drivers in real time. This is not Formula One as you know it. This is a new beast altogether. The moment these rules hit the track, the grid will be unrecognizable, smaller, lighter machines with less drag, tighter floors, and a completely different energy profile. Legacy advantage? Gone. Historical data? Worthless. Every team will be forced to restart their design philosophy from the ground up. For fans who followed the sport since the V10 era, or even those who witnessed the 2014 hybrid shift, nothing compares to this. The 2026 regulations are more than technical, they're philosophical. The FIA's intention is clear: performance must now coexist with sustainability, spectacle with energy efficiency, speed with strategic complexity. And in doing so, they've introduced a level of engineering uncertainty not seen in decades. Not even in 2022, when ground effect returned, did teams face such a sweeping reset. The consequences of failure under these rules are not hypothetical. They are material. A team that miscalculates the aero balance or energy deployment curves risks being penalized. A manufacturer that overestimates battery output could see their entire season compromised by cooling issues and unusable performance. The FIA has made it clear: misinterpret these new standards, and your season could fall apart before race 3. And yes, race bans are back on the table if technical infringements become systemic. Drivers are already on edge. Verstappen has warned that what he's seen in the simulator is, in his words, terrible. He's openly stated he may walk away from the sport if the new cars ruin the driving experience. Charles Leclerc and Alex Albon echo similar concerns: less grip, more energy micromanagement, and a cognitive load that could overwhelm even the sharpest racing minds. Formula One, they say, is on the brink of becoming less about the wheel-to-wheel battle, and more about battery meters and mode switches. And here's the twist: these rules are not even final. Teams are currently building cars for a regulation set that's still being modified in real time. That means every design decision, every aerodynamic surface, every battery cell, every software line is a gamble. Build too early and risk non-compliance. Build too late and lose development time. The 2026 season is not just about who goes faster. It's about who interprets ambiguity better than the rest. Which brings us to you. If you live and breathe Formula One, if you remember Senna's Brazil, Schumacher's rain magic, or Alonso's tireless wars with V8 power, you owe it to yourself to stay ahead of this seismic shift. The sport is changing faster than ever. This channel is breaking it all down, day by day. So hit that subscribe button now and join us as we decode the most radical transformation the sport has ever seen. Let's start with the physical transformation. The 2026 Formula One car will be smaller in every dimension. The wheelbase will drop from 3,600 mm to 3,400, a rollback we haven't seen since the early 2000s. Why does this matter? Because it completely alters the car's rotation point. On street circuits like Monaco or Singapore, agility will once again reign. Long gone is the era of oversized chassis struggling through tight hairpins. What's returning is the nimbleness that rewards driver precision and punishes overbuilt designs. But the shrinkage doesn't stop there. The overall width of the car will be reduced by 100 mm. That means teams lose precious surface area for aero generation. The floor, responsible for the vast majority of downforce since the return of ground effect, will also narrow by 150 mm. That's a brutal reduction. It forces teams to rethink their entire aerodynamic philosophy. Gone is the luxury of massive Venturi tunnels generating free grip. From now on, efficiency will beat brute force. The tires, too, are being downsized not in diameter, but in contact patch. The front slicks will go from 305 to 280 mm in tread width. The rears drop even more, from 405 to 375. This creates a domino effect. Less grip means more sliding. More sliding means higher tire wear. And with narrower contact patches, thermal degradation becomes a daily battle. Pirelli themselves have voiced concerns. We could see a resurgence of graining patterns not witnessed since the early hybrid era. And now the weight. The minimum has been cut to 768 kilograms, a full 30 kilos lighter than the current cars. On paper, that sounds promising. But here's the engineering reality. Those 30 kilos have to be found while adding heavier batteries, additional cooling systems, and reinforced safety structures. Fernando Alonso said it bluntly, it's probably impossible. Max Verstappen went further, saying the reduction should have been at least 100 to 150 kilos if the sport truly wanted to recapture the handling purity of the past. The DRS system, a staple since 2011, is being thrown out. In its place comes a fully active aerodynamic package with two dynamic modes, Z mode for corners and X mode for straights. Unlike DRS, which was only available in designated zones and to trailing cars, these new aero settings are available to all drivers, at all times, across all straights longer than 3 seconds. That completely changes the balance of power. Drivers will now control their car's drag and downforce live, lap after lap, adapting to traffic, tire condition, and battery state. This system isn't theoretical. Prototypes have already been tested. Ferrari and Mercedes both ran experimental front-wing setups at the Abu Dhabi postseason test in December of 2025. Ferrari's system used internal hydraulic actuators. Mercedes deployed an external linkage prototype. Both designs proved the concept, front wings with adjustable flap angles that interact with the rear aero balance in real time. It's no longer just a matter of footwork and throttle control. Now, aerodynamic trim becomes a tool in the driver's hand. And let's not forget what powers all this, the new hybrid power unit. It keeps the turbo V6 internal combustion engine, but its power contribution drops significantly down to around 400 kilowatts. In parallel, the MG UK will triple its output from 120 to 350 kilowatts. That's roughly 470 horsepower, entirely electric. This 50-50 power split will fundamentally alter the feel and feedback of the car. Instant torque, but limited top-end deployment. Recovery-limited energy systems. The result? A car that accelerates like a rocket, but needs to think like a chess player to finish the race. Behind every glossy render and PR teaser lies the brutal reality of design risk. For teams, the 2026 regulations represent a minefield. With both the technical and sporting codes rewritten, even the smallest oversight in interpretation could lead to disqualification. Weight targets are no longer flexible guidelines, they are strict thresholds. Miss the 768 kilogram limit, even by a hair, and you start with a sporting penalty. No negotiation. No exemptions. This level of regulatory rigidity hasn't been seen since the fuel flow controversies of 2014. Then there's the aero system. Active aerodynamics may sound futuristic, but they come with a cost. The FIA has already clarified that any team failing to implement both X mode and Z mode correctly will face exclusion. Not warnings. Exclusion. That means perfect synchronization between sensors, hydraulic systems, and software logic. A delayed flap deployment? A non-responsive actuator? That's not a mechanical failure. That's a breach. And in 2026, breaches will not be tolerated. The energy systems are no less unforgiving. With the new MG UK capable of deploying 350 kilowatts, but only within specific speed bands, calibration must be exact. The FIA's telemetry systems will monitor every joule used, every millisecond of activation. If a team attempts to exploit the override system outside of its permitted range, say, activating the manual boost when not within 1 second of another car, the data will catch it instantly. What follows is a time penalty, a disqualification, or in extreme cases, a grid drop at the next event. The stakes are brutal. And it's not just about what's on the car, it's about how it's built. The reduction in chassis width and the elimination of the MGUH has pushed packaging to its limit. Rear-end cooling is now a game of thermal management versus aerodynamic drag. The teams that fail to find that balance may face overheating batteries, derated energy deployment, or worse, fire risk. Remember, these hybrid units are pushing close to 1,000 combined horsepower. Containing that level of output in a narrower, lighter shell is an engineering nightmare. But perhaps the most overlooked pressure is software. The active aero systems, the energy management curves, the override triggers, all are governed by onboard logic. That means custom code. And custom code means bugs. A single miscalculated parameter can cause illegal deployment, aero stall, or worse, a loss of control under braking. The engineers not only need to build hardware that complies, they must write logic that outthinks the race conditions. And in a world where millisecond decisions define podiums, software becomes a performance weapon. Meanwhile, team principals are walking a tightrope. Rush development and risk a technical breach. Delay it and fall behind in race pace. With just 11 days of preseason testing and no legacy data that applies, the margin for error has vanished. Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, they may be giants, but even they are operating in the dark. And that's where newcomers like Audi and Cadillac see their opening. When everyone is blind, knowledge parity is finally possible. This is the opportunity no new team has had in 20 years. In short, the FIA hasn't just rewritten the rules. They've weaponized them. The 2026 car is not just a machine, it's a compliance puzzle wrapped around a performance target, inside a regulatory trap. Every detail matters. Every screw, every sensor, every line of code. The penalty for failure? Not just points lost. Entire seasons could collapse under the weight of one overlooked regulation.